First contact at dawn. The setting sun painted the ruins of New Santiago in shades of amber and gold, casting long shadows across the debris-strewn streets. Luna Martinez, a 14-year-old girl with determination etched into her young face, picked her way through the wreckage of what had once been the city's bustling commercial district. Her worn boots kicked up dust with each careful step, and her threadbare jacket barely kept out the evening chill. In her pocket, she felt the reassuring weight of her last protein bar, a treasure she discovered in the basement of an abandoned convenience store. Food had become increasingly scarce since the global economic collapse 3 months ago, and even this stale, artificial supplement felt like a feast to her empty stomach. The sound of shifting rubble stopped her in her tracks. Luna ducked behind a fallen concrete pillar, her heart pounding against her ribs. The streets weren't safe after dark, desperate people did desperate things, and she'd learned that lesson the hard way. But what she saw when she peered around the pillar wasn't a scavenger or one of the roving gangs that plagued the city's ruins. The figure that emerged from the shadows moved unlike anything Luna had ever seen. Tall and impossibly graceful, its silvery skin seemed to ripple in the fading light. Its limbs were long and delicate, like those of a praying mantis, and its head was adorned with what appeared to be crystalline structures that caught and reflected the dying sunlight. But what struck Luna most were its eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, each one swirling with colors that reminded her of the aurora borealis she'd once seen in her father's old photography books. The alien, for what else could it be, was clearly injured. It moved with a halting gait, one hand pressed against its side where a strange, luminescent fluid seeped between its fingers. As Luna watched, it stumbled and fell to its knees, making a sound that, despite its otherworldliness, she instantly recognized as a groan of pain. Luna's mother had been a doctor before the collapse, and her words echoed in Luna's memory: kindness is what makes us human. Without it, we're just animals fighting for survival. Before she could second-guess herself, Luna stepped out from behind the pillar. The alien's head snapped up, all 3 eyes focusing on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, slowly, Luna reached into her pocket and pulled out the protein bar. She unwrapped it carefully, broke it in half, and held out one piece as she took a small step forward. "Are you hungry?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The alien tilted its head, the crystalline structures catching the light in a cascade of colors. Then, to Luna's amazement, it spoke, not in words, but in a series of musical tones that somehow formed themselves into meaning in her mind. "Your kindness, unexpected. Dangerous times, yet you offer sustenance." Luna took another step forward. "My mom always said that kindness matters most when it's hardest to give." She placed the half of the protein bar on a relatively clean piece of concrete between them, then backed away several steps before sitting down cross-legged on the ground. The alien studied her for several long moments before reaching for the food with one of its delicate hands. Its movements were precise despite its injury, and Luna noticed that each finger ended in what looked like small crystalline structures similar to those on its head. "I am called Zoreke," the alien's thoughts resonated in her mind. "I come as an emissary, a warning." It paused, seeming to struggle with either pain or the effort of communication. "But our ship attacked. The others." "I'm Luna," she replied, then gestured to its injured side. "I might be able to help with that. My mother was a healer, she taught me some things before." She trailed off, the pain of her mother's loss still too fresh to voice. Zoreke's eyes swirled with deeper colors, and Luna felt a wave of empathy wash over her. "Your loss. I feel it. As my people feel the loss of our world. The destroyers come. Earth must be warned." Luna leaned forward, her own hunger forgotten. "Destroyers? What destroyers? Is that why you came here?" But before Zoreke could answer, the sound of engines filled the air, not the sputtering of the few working vehicles left in the city, but the high-pitched whine of military aircraft. Zoreke's eyes flashed with alarm, and Luna felt fear spike through their strange connection. They come, Zoreike's thoughts practically shouted in her mind. The ones who shot us down. They cannot find me. The knowledge I carry must survive. Luna was on her feet in an instant. There's an old subway station nearby. The tunnels are stable, I've been using them to move around the city. Can you walk? Zoreike struggled to stand, the luminescent fluid flowing more freely from its wound. Luna didn't hesitate this time, she moved to the alien's side and offered her shoulder for support. The touch of its skin was cool and seemed to hum with a subtle energy that made her arm tingle. As they limped toward the subway entrance, the aircraft sounds grew closer. Luna's mind raced with questions, but survival came first. Whatever Zoreike's warning was, whatever forces were hunting it, she had made her choice the moment she shared her food. Her mother had taught her that every great change begins with a single act of kindness. Looking at the wounded alien leaning against her, Luna couldn't help but wonder just how great a change this particular act might bring. The sun finally dipped below the horizon as they disappeared into the darkness of the subway tunnel, leaving the world above to its hunters. But in the darkness below, a fragile alliance was born, one that would soon reshape the destiny of two species. The hidden truth. The subway tunnels beneath New Santiago were a maze of darkness and echoes, but Luna knew them like the back of her hand. She guided Zoreike through the winding passages, the alien's crystalline structures providing just enough ethereal light to illuminate their path. The wound in Zoreike's side had slowed its bleeding, but the alien's movements were becoming increasingly labored. They finally reached what Luna called her sanctuary, an old maintenance room she'd converted into a living space. Solar-powered LED strips, salvaged from abandoned buildings, cast a soft glow over the cramped but orderly space. Shelves lined with scavenged medical supplies, canned food, and bottles of water covered one wall. A collection of worn blankets and cushions formed a makeshift bed in one corner. It's not much, Luna said, helping Zoreike settle onto a stack of cushions, but it's safe. The military never comes down here, too afraid of the gangs in the tunnels. She managed a small smile. They don't know I've mapped all the safe routes. Zoreike's eyes swirled with what Luna was beginning to recognize as curiosity. You survive, alone. Where are your protectors? Luna busied herself gathering medical supplies, trying to ignore the familiar ache in her chest. They're gone. Mom died when the hospitals were bombed. Dad, he went to find help 6 weeks ago. He hasn't come back. She turned to face the alien, forcing her voice to remain steady. But you said something about destroyers. What did you mean? Who shot down your ship? Zoreike's crystalline structures dimmed slightly. The Nexar, ancient race. Consume worlds, strip them of resources. Leave nothing alive. The alien's thoughts carried images that made Luna's head spin, vast ships that blotted out suns, weapons that could crack planets, armies of biomechanical soldiers that knew neither fear nor mercy. They have detected Earth's technological advancement, marked you for harvest. Zoreike winced as Luna began cleaning its wound with antiseptic. The injury was unlike anything she'd seen, the alien's tissue seemed to shimmer and shift under her touch, almost as if it were trying to heal itself. My people, the Luminari, we fought them centuries ago. Lost our homeworld. Now we watch, warn others. Try to prevent. Zoreike's thoughts became jumbled with pain as Luna applied pressure to the wound. Save your strength, Luna said softly. Let me help you first, then you can tell me everything. As she worked, Luna's mind raced. The global economic collapse, the increasing military presence, the strange lights in the sky that the government claimed were satellite tests, it all began to take on a more sinister meaning. The governments, she said suddenly. Do they know about the Nexar? Zoreike's eyes darkened. Some know. Made deals, think they can save themselves by helping Nexar identify strategic targets. Betraying their own kind. Luna's hands stilled. That's why the military was chasing you. You're not just here to warn us, you have proof of their collaboration. More than proof, Zoreike's thoughts carried a weight of significance. Carry knowledge. Luminary defense technologies. Ways to fight Nexar. But some humans would rather this knowledge never reach your people. A distant explosion rocked the tunnel, sending dust raining from the ceiling. Luna quickly dimmed the LED strips, plunging the room into near darkness save for the gentle glow of Zoreike's crystalline structures. They're getting closer, she whispered. How? The tunnel should have hidden our trail. Technology can track my energy signature, Zoreike struggled to rise. Must keep moving. Cannot let them. No, Luna pushed the alien gently but firmly back onto the cushions. You're too weak. And if they can track you, running won't help. She began pacing, her mind working furiously. We need to hide your energy signature somehow. Block it or mask it. She stopped suddenly, turning to face Zoreike. The old power station. 3 levels down. Its walls are lined with lead shielding, and there's still enough residual electromagnetic interference from the generators to scramble most scanning equipment. That's why I couldn't get my radio to work down there. Zoreike's eyes swirled with a new color, something that felt like hope mixed with admiration. Your solution, clever. But dangerous. Deep tunnels, others dwell there. The gangs don't go that deep anymore, Luna said, already gathering essential supplies into a backpack. Not since the flooding in the lower levels. But I know a maintenance shaft that stays dry. If we can get you there, it'll buy us time. Time to heal, and time to figure out how to get your warning to people who'll actually listen. Another explosion, closer this time, made her decision more urgent. Luna helped Zoreike to its feet, noting with relief that the alien seemed slightly stronger after the brief rest. As they made their way to the maintenance shaft, Zoreike's thoughts reached out to her again. Why help me, Luna Martinez? Risk your life for, alien being. After your world, your family. Luna thought of her mother's words about kindness, of her father's belief that every person had a duty to stand up for what was right, no matter the cost. Because if what you're saying is true, then this isn't just about helping you. It's about helping everyone. And because. She smiled slightly, someone has to do what's right, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. They reached the maintenance shaft, a narrow metal ladder descending into darkness. Above them, the sounds of searching grew louder. Luna activated a small flashlight and began climbing down first, ready to help Zoreike follow. Besides, she added, her voice echoing softly in the shaft, I'm tired of just surviving. Maybe it's time to start fighting back. As they descended into the darkness, Luna couldn't know that her words would soon prove prophetic. The alliance forged between a lonely human girl and a wounded alien diplomat was about to spark a resistance that would change the course of Earth's future. But first, they had to survive the night, and the things that hunted them in the dark. Underground resistance. The old power station loomed before them, a cathedral of rust and shadows. Luna's flashlight beam caught the edges of massive turbines, their metal surfaces dulled by years of neglect. The air was thick with the metallic taste of oxidation and the lingering ozone scent of burnt-out electrical systems. 3 levels below the main subway tunnels, the only sounds were the steady drip of water and their own careful movements. This way, Luna whispered, though she wasn't sure why she was whispering. Something about the vast space demanded silence. She led Zoreike through a maze of control panels and abandoned workstations toward a reinforced door marked reactor control room. The aliens' crystalline structures cast shifting patterns on the walls as they moved, creating an ethereal light show that made the shadows dance. Luna noticed that Zoreike's wound had begun to seal itself, the alien tissue knitting together in a way that defied her understanding of biology. Your healing technology, she said as she worked to open the heavy door. Could it help other people? The injured survivors in the city? Zoreike's thoughts reached her, tinged with what felt like regret. Our biology, too different. But other technology, yes. Much to share. If we survive. The door finally yielded with a protesting groan. Inside, the control room was a time capsule of abandoned technology. Banks of computers lined the walls, their screens dark and dusty. The lead shielding that had originally been installed to protect against radiation now served a new purpose, hiding them from their pursuers. Luna helped Zoreike settle into what had once been the supervisor's chair before beginning to secure the room. As she worked, a question that had been nagging at her finally found voice. You said some humans made deals with the Nexar. Who? How high up does it go? Zoreike's eyes swirled with dark colors. Military leaders. Government officials. Corporate powers. Promised survival, positions of authority in New Order. Blind to truth, Nexar never honor deals. Use collaborators, then dispose. But there must be others, Luna insisted, pausing in her work. People who would fight if they knew the truth. Military personnel who haven't been corrupted, scientists, regular people who just want to protect their homes. Yes, Zoreike's thoughts brightened. Many would resist. Need leader. Voice of truth. And the alien's crystalline structures pulsed with increasing intensity. Need this. Zoreike raised one of its delicate hands, and suddenly the air in the center of the room began to shimmer. Light coalesced into form, and Luna gasped as a holographic display materialized before them. It showed schematics, diagrams, and streams of data that she couldn't read but instinctively understood were important. Luminary defense technologies, Zoreike explained. Shields that can repel Nexar weapons. Energy systems to power cities without detection. Communication methods they cannot intercept. The aliens' thoughts carried a note of urgency. But most important, way to reveal their presence. Show their true form to all. Luna stepped closer to the hologram, her eyes wide with wonder and determination. If we could prove they're really here, expose the collaborators. She was interrupted by a sound that made her blood run cold, voices echoing from the levels above, accompanied by the heavy tread of boots on metal stairs. They followed us, she breathed. But how? The lead shielding should have. Not military, Zoreike's thoughts cut through her panic. Different. Listen. Luna strained her ears and realized the alien was right. The voices didn't have the crisp precision of military communication. They were rougher, less disciplined. Then she heard a familiar laugh that made her stomach drop. The rats, she whispered. They control the deeper tunnels on the west side. They must have spotted us coming down. She quickly began gathering their supplies. We need to move. The rats aren't just scavengers, they're traders. They'll sell us to the highest bidder, military or otherwise. But Zoreike didn't move. Instead, the alien's crystals began to pulse with a steady rhythm. No more running. Time to begin. Your words were true, time to fight back. What are you talking about? There's at least a dozen of them, and they're armed. You have survived alone. Know these tunnels. Have courage and compassion that surprised even me. Zoreike's thoughts were strong, confident. I have knowledge, technology, truth that must be shared. Together, we are stronger than we appear. The voices were closer now, accompanied by the gleam of flashlights penetrating the darkness beyond the control room. Luna looked at the holographic schematics still floating in the air, then at her own reflection in one of the dark computer screens, a dirty, skinny teenager who had somehow become humanity's best hope for survival. What's your plan? She asked, straightening her shoulders. First, we show them truth. Then, give them choice. Fight with us, or remain blind to coming storm. Zoreike's crystals pulsed brighter. Some will choose right path. Always do, when shown truth with courage and compassion. Luna took a deep breath, remembering all the times she'd hidden from the rats, all the survivors she'd seen them terrorize. And if they don't choose the right path? Zoreike's eyes swirled with colors she hadn't seen before, something that felt like a combination of determination and subtle power. Then we show them why Luminari were feared even by Nexar, before our fall. The door to the control room burst open, flooding the space with flashlight beams. But Luna didn't flinch. Standing beside Zoreike, watching the aliens' defensive technologies shimmer in the air between them and their attackers, she felt something she hadn't experienced since before the collapse: hope. The resistance was about to begin, not with a massive army or advanced weapons, but with a girl who chose kindness, an alien who chose truth, and a group of tunnel dwellers about to learn that the universe was far larger and more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The battle for tomorrow. The first thing the rats saw when they burst into the control room wasn't what they expected. Instead of cowering survivors, they found themselves facing a display of light and technology that made their flashlight seem dim in comparison. Holographic images filled the air, scenes of massive ships darkening skies, cities being destroyed, and most importantly, familiar faces of military leaders shaking hands with beings that couldn't possibly be human. "What the hell is this?" demanded their leader, a tall woman with a scarred face who Luna knew was called Rex. Her shotgun wavered between Luna and Zoreike, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. "The truth," Luna said, her voice stronger than she felt. "About why everything collapsed. About who's really responsible. And about what's coming for all of us if we don't stand together." Zoreike's crystals pulsed, and the holographic display shifted to show more detailed images of the Nexar, their biomechanical foot soldiers, their harvest ships, their weapons of planetary destruction. "Your world stands on edge of extinction," the aliens' thoughts reached not just Luna now, but all the rats, making several of them stumble back in shock. "Those who claim to protect you have already surrendered. But there is still hope, if you choose to grasp it." Rex lowered her shotgun slightly, her eyes fixed on an image of General Morrison, the man who had promised order and protection, meeting with a Nexar representative. "We've seen their ships," she said slowly. "In the sky at night. Military said they were new drones, but they lied." Luna stepped forward. "They're helping the Nexar identify key targets, strategic locations, resistance potential. They think they'll be spared when the harvest begins." She gestured to the tunnels around them. "Why do you think they never come down here? They're not afraid of you, they're afraid of finding out how many survivors are really left. Information they'd have to report to their new masters." One of the younger rats, a boy not much older than Luna, spoke up. "Why should we believe you? This could all be some trick, some new technology too." Zoreike rose then, its full height making several of the rats step back. The alien's wound was almost fully healed now, and its crystalline structures blazed with inner light. "Truth carries own weight. Feel it in your minds, your hearts. You know world above is waiting to fall. Question is, will you help catch it?" Rex held up a hand, silencing the murmurs among her people. "Say we believe you. What could we possibly do against something like that?" She pointed to an image of a Nexar harvest ship, its massive form dwarfing the cities below it. Luna smiled. "Show them," she said to Zoreike. The holograms shifted again, this time displaying Luminari defense technologies. Schematics for shield generators that could protect entire city blocks, weapons that could penetrate Nexar armor, communication systems that could unite scattered survivors without being detected. "My people fought Nexar for centuries," Zoreike's thoughts carried memories of battles won and lost. "Knowledge survived. Can be adapted to Earth technology. But need hands to build. Hearts to believe. Courage to fight. And we need to move fast," Luna added. "The military's still searching the tunnels. Once they realize their collaborators are being exposed, they'll become desperate. We need to gather more survivors, set up secure locations, start manufacturing. Manufacturing? Rex laughed, but there was less hostility in it now. Kid, we can barely keep ourselves fed down here. Look around you, Luna gestured to the power station. This place still has functional equipment. Parts we can salvage. And I bet you know where to find more. How many other abandoned facilities are down here? How many forgotten storage rooms and maintenance bays? We have everything we need, we just need to use it differently. Rex was quiet for a long moment, studying the holograms, then Zoreke, then Luna. Finally, she shouldered her shotgun. My people have survived down here by being smart, by knowing when to fight and when to run. Right now, my gut tells me running isn't an option anymore. She turned to her group. What say you? Ready to save the world? The response was a mixture of nervous laughter and serious nods. The young boy who had spoken earlier stepped forward. I can repair things. Electronics, machinery. Never had much use for it down here, but now we have use, Rex finished. She turned back to Luna and Zoreke. All right. Where do we start? Over the next few hours, the control room became a command center. The rats, it turned out, had an extensive knowledge of the tunnel system that even Luna didn't know about. They marked locations of potential manufacturing sites, storage facilities, and secure areas where survivors could gather. Zoreke began teaching them the basics of luminary technology, showing how Earth's existing infrastructure could be modified and improved. But their planning session was interrupted by a distant explosion that shook dust from the ceiling. This time, there was no doubt about its source, military-grade weapons. They're sweeping the tunnels, Rex said grimly. Never seen them come this deep before. They're scared, Luna realized. They must have lost track of Zoreke's energy signature down here. They'll tear the whole place apart looking for us. Zoreke's crystals pulsed with urgent patterns. Time grows short. Must begin now. Ready or not? Rex checked her shotgun and nodded to her people. We've got caches of weapons and supplies scattered throughout the tunnels. And we know all the maintenance shafts and service corridors they don't. Good, Luna said, her mind racing. We need to split up. Some of us start gathering survivors, others begin collecting materials. We need to stay mobile, keep them guessing. She looked at Zoreke. Can you teach them how to build the basic shields first? We'll need protection before we can think about fighting back. The alien's eyes swirled with approval. Quick learner. Yes. Simple shields first. Then communication network. Then. Another explosion, closer this time, cut off the thought. Rex quickly divided her people into groups, assigning tasks and locations. Luna found herself admiring the older woman's efficiency. The rats might have been survivors and scavengers, but they were organized. As the groups prepared to move out, Rex pulled Luna aside. You know this might get a lot of people killed, right? Not just us, but everyone we bring into this fight. Luna looked at the holographic images still floating in the air, the destruction the Nexar had brought to countless worlds, the betrayal of those meant to protect Earth, and the technology that might give humanity a fighting chance. A lot more people will die if we do nothing, she said quietly. Besides, we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for the right to choose our own future. That's worth the risk. Rex studied her for a moment, then smiled slightly. Your parents would be proud, kid. As the groups dispersed into the tunnels, Luna stood with Zoreke, watching the rats disappear into the darkness with their new purpose and knowledge. Above them, the forces of both human betrayal and alien invasion were gathering, but down here, in the depths of humanity's own forgotten places, hope was taking root. The real battle for Earth's future was about to begin. A new dawn. 3 days of feverish preparation had transformed the underground tunnels into something unprecedented, a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology that would have seemed impossible just days before. The old power station had become the heart of the resistance, its ancient machinery repurposed with luminary technology to power shield generators and communication arrays. Luna stood at a makeshift command center, watching as Rex's people coordinated with newly arrived survivors from across the city. The Rats network had proven invaluable, bringing in not just refugees but engineers, technicians, and even a few military deserters who had discovered the truth about their superiors' betrayal. Shield network at 70% capacity, reported Gene, the young rat who had first volunteered his repair skills. His hands moved confidently over a hybrid control panel that merged salvaged human computers with luminary crystals. We've got coverage over most of the northern tunnels now. Zoreke stood nearby, its crystalline structures pulsing in sync with the technology around them. Generation 3 shield matrix now stable. Ready for surface deployment when. The alien's thought was interrupted by a violent tremor that shook the entire facility. Dust and small debris rained from the ceiling as emergency lights flashed red. "They're here," Luna breathed, rushing to the main display screen. The satellite feed they'd managed to hack showed what they'd been dreading, massive Nexar harvest ships breaking through Earth's atmosphere, their angular forms blotting out the sun over major cities worldwide. "Multiple impact sites detected," Gene called out. "They're landing troops in every major population center. And..." He paused, his face paling. "Our military, they're standing down. Just like you said they would." Luna felt a surge of anger at the confirmation of humanity's betrayal by its supposed protectors, but she pushed it aside. They had prepared for this. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Activate all shield networks. And broadcast the truth, everything we have, on every frequency we can reach." Around the world, in places the collaborators had written off as dead zones or refugee camps, shield generators hummed to life. The luminary technology, adapted and improved by human hands, created barriers of energy that the Nexar's weapons couldn't penetrate. And on every working screen, radio, and communication device, the truth began to play, evidence of the military's betrayal, footage of the Nexar's destruction of other worlds, and most importantly, proof that resistance was possible. First wave of Nexar ground forces approaching the surface entrances, Rex reported, her shotgun modified with crystals that glowed with deadly purpose. "They're in for a surprise." The surprise came in the form of carefully planned ambushes. As the biomechanical soldiers of the Nexar entered the tunnels, expecting to find helpless refugees, they instead met organized resistance. Weapons enhanced with luminary technology cut through their armor. Shield generators trapped them in killing zones. Communication blackouts, designed to isolate and confuse human survivors, failed against the hybrid network they'd built. But it wasn't just the technology that made the difference. It was the people, survivors who had learned to navigate the darkness, engineers who had kept ancient machinery running with scavenged parts, children who had grown up learning every hidden path and secret corner of their underground world. The tunnels themselves became a weapon, leading the Nexar forces into traps, dead ends, and carefully prepared killing grounds. Luna coordinated it all from the command center, her mind racing as she directed resources and personnel where they were needed most. Beside her, Zoreke's thoughts guided and advised, but the alien let humanity fight its own battle. This wasn't about being saved by superior technology, it was about Earth's people choosing to save themselves. The turning point came when the first Nexar harvest ship fell. The combined power of multiple shield generators, reversed to create a focused energy beam, tore through its supposedly impenetrable hull. The massive ship crashed into the desert outside New Santiago, and with it crashed the myth of Nexar invincibility. Broadcasting the ship's destruction on all frequencies, Gene announced, his voice tight with excitement. Resistance cells in other cities are reporting similar successes. The shields, they're working better than we expected. The Nexar can't adapt to the combination of their technology and ours. Because they never expected us to work together, Luna realized, looking at Zoreke. They thought humanity would be like the other worlds, either fight alone and lose, or submit and be destroyed. They didn't plan for this. The aliens' eyes swirled with colors that felt like pride and hope combined. Humans, surprising. Turn weaknesses into strengths. Division into unity. Fear into courage. Another tremor shook the facility, but this one was different, the sound of Nexar ships retreating, breaking atmosphere in a desperate attempt to escape. On the main screen, similar reports began flowing in from around the world. The invasion force, faced with unexpected resistance and mounting losses, was pulling back. "They'll be back," Rex said grimly, watching the ships flee. "With more forces, different tactics." "Let them come," Luna replied, her voice firm. "We'll be ready. And we'll be stronger." She looked around the command center, at the faces of people who had chosen to fight back against impossible odds. "We're not just defending ourselves now. We're defending every world that might be next on their list." Zoreke's thoughts reached them all, carrying centuries of wisdom and newfound hope. "My people fought alone. Kept knowledge but lost heart. You humans, keep both. Perhaps together, we finally end Nexar threat. Not just survive, but build new future." Luna looked at the hybrid technology around them, the combination of human determination and Luminari knowledge that had achieved what neither race could do alone. "Not perhaps," she said. "We will." As the light of a new day began to filter down through the surface vents, Luna thought about the moment that had started it all, a simple act of kindness, sharing food with a wounded stranger. Her mother had been right. Kindness wasn't weakness, it was the foundation of everything worth fighting for. The battle for Earth had been won, but Luna knew it was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, rebuilding their world, establishing new forms of governance to replace the corrupted old order, preparing for the Nexar's eventual return. But looking at the diverse group of humans and their alien ally working together in the repurposed power station, she felt nothing but hope. Sometimes the greatest changes in the universe began with the smallest choices. A girl sharing her last meal. A wounded alien choosing to trust. People choosing to believe in something bigger than their own survival. Together, they had written a new chapter in human history, one that began in darkness but emerged into light, proving that even in humanity's darkest hour, hope could be found in the most unexpected places. The end wasn't just a victory. It was a new beginning.